Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. I am joined today by Doug, who is the owner of the Prescott Hearing Center in Prescott, Arizona. He is part of the Strategic Networking Partners Group, and he is a staple of the community. He is an awesome dude, and I am just so happy that he is here to share his story today. Doug, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Awesome. So let's kick this off with a little question I ask everybody that comes on the cast. What is something in your experience or lesson that you have learned in your journey that has shaped your values as an entrepreneur?
I think primarily the biggest thing that I've always brought to the business is to treat everyone like I'd like to be treated. That's pretty much my motto that I live by, because frankly, if I don't want to be that person, why would I expect anybody else to be that person? So we really try to create a personal touch for everybody.
Awesome. I love that. And what experience kind of highlighted that for you or made that apparent that that's what you wanted to build your value systems around?
I think it's probably just my upbringing. It was my parents kind of instilled that onto me from a very young age. It's kind of, if we can't be true to others the way we'd like to be treated, it kind of sets the pace for what's to come. You need to be able to look everybody in the eye, not have to worry about meeting them on the street or anything like that, and be, proud of what I've done the day before and not having any regrets. So that's really the basic.
Awesome. Were your parents a big influence on your would you say on your entrepreneurial life, career?
I don't know that they were so interested in me becoming a hearing aid provider because, nobody really wants to admit that they're having a hearing problem. And whenever I was getting into it, it was kind of like, I think they kind of had to take a look at it themselves and kind of realize that, yeah, maybe there is an issue going on here. So I don't know that that this would have been their first choice of a career for me, but I think they were proud that I, followed this career once I got into it. And was able to help them out too a little bit.
How long have you been an entrepreneur and owned your own business?
Well, I got started in the hearing aids back in 1998, and even prior to that, I was into the business on my own. We made braille signs for the visually impaired, so I guess I've always been dealing with the senses a little bit, or vision, hearing, that kind of thing. So once I got into the hearing, I wasn't necessarily looking to be entrepreneurial. I was just looking for a good career path that I could be proud of, being able to help people and that kind of thing. The part of getting into business just kind of happened by accident, I guess, around 2011. Company I was working for, it was a mom and pop organization, and they sold out to a corporate, and I knew right away that that wasn't for me. I was either going to have to go to work for somebody else that was going to have the mom and pop approach. Otherwise, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm create my own experience for, the corporate. When it gets all about the numbers and the driving sales and things like that, that's not really what I'm looking for, for hearing. People need the care. They need the follow-up. They need that little gentle touch, I think, compared to having to be a big corporate strategy of the motives and everything kind of changes when it becomes corporate.
The culture and the values of the company, the heart of the company changes, is what you're saying.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's definitely a huge area of concern when the larger the company gets, for sure. How do you measure success now for you personally and your business? What does success look like to you?
It essentially means going home at the end of the day and feeling like I've done some good. It's certainly the monetary aspect of we making a living and that, but knowing people are happy with what we've done, being able to change a life, the hugs you receive, and the gratitude that I receive is probably more of a success marker than anything, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. Because we don't provide hearing aids, we really change people's lives, and if I feel like I've made an impact, to me that was a success.
It's awesome. So your personal success is in the lives that you guys touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I love that. And I've spoken to a number of S&P members now. We've recorded a number of podcasts, and I think that's something that's very unique. And in the entire group, I feel like there's this common theme of community, and you guys are no exception. You guys are really trying to make an impact in your area and your community. And I think it's super refreshing to hear those stories rather than the fancy Instagram where people are all about just driving sales, drive sales, drive sales, drive sales. You guys are like, no, let's touch more people. Let's heal some people. So I really love that. Let's talk. 1998, that's coming very quickly up to that 30-year mark. Not sure
Uh-huh.
if you knew that or not, but I'm sure you did. But let's talk a little bit about your origin story and the genesis of Prescott Hearing Center. What sparked the idea? What created this? And like where did the business have its first fruits?
Well, it's I was fortunate, like I said, to work with a small company in Utah. We were there for several years, and that company, I liked their values because it was a one of the pioneers. Basically, they dated back to 1946, and it was a family-owned business. And I think once I got with them, it kind of spoiled me for the forever because they were not all about the big buck. They were just all about, taking care of people and just the good old boys that, I really related with. I really connected with that kind of approach here. So when they went out of business, they were three brothers. They retired. And like I said, they sold out. I don't blame them. They were ready to, you know, live out their golden years. And at that point in time, I realized that, to get that kind of culture, I think I got to create it because otherwise, if I'm going to be an employee for somebody else, I can almost guarantee that it's going to be more about the here, make this happen, here, do this, do that, and because frankly, their primary concerns are the bottom line. They got to make a living in that. So I was fortunate enough to be able to take over practice in 2011, do it the way I wanted to do it, rather than following in other people's footsteps and cleaning up some of the messes that they make. And I think people mean well. They try their best, but at the same time, somebody told me once, a good friend of mine, there's profitability and there's taking care of people. Those two don't have to be mutually exclusive. They both can coexist, and that was kind of the thing that really has really driven me pretty much day to day. It's like I can still be profitable and I can make these people happy and change their lives. So that was really kind of a eye opener whenever you said it. I mean, I guess I always believed it, but we don't have to pick one or the other.
I love that. I love that. You can balance profit and service and that you don't have to sacrifice one for the other. I love that ethos. So back in those early days, I know it's been been a hot minute, but what were some of those early challenges that you had to face and how did you overcome them?
I think part of it was the lack of experience and really kind of having to put my nose into the books. I mean, learn that I am never going to quit learning in this industry because things change. It keeps on evolving. Technology changes. The dynamics of the business change. There are people that enter into the industry that might feel like they're going to make a mark, and then all of a sudden they fade away. And it's just that keeping one foot after another. Not to get too shook up about the new entrants into the marketplace, because frankly, they don't have the care that needs to happen with the people. Because a few years ago, there was this OTC over the counter hearing aids that everybody was kind of afraid of. It's like, oh yeah, that's going to ruin our business. And I think it's actually been a good thing because it's made many people aware of what's going on. But at the end of the day, if nobody looks in their ears and see that there's earwax to be removed, or if they put a device in the ears that doesn't actually do what it's supposed to do, they're going to seek out solutions that are actually going to be helpful and worthy of that care. Just know that the skill set that I've gained or developed over the years is always going to be needed. People, unfortunately, are not able to take care of all those needs on their own. I think there was a little bit of an apprehension of what do I know? What can I do to make this work compared to why can't anybody do this? And it's like, well, I guess in a way anybody could, but the effort that goes into learning all the ins and outs of it, it's kind of like I guess I could repair my own furnace if I really wanted to. But I probably not going to be that successful at it the first go around. I might, after a lot of hard knocks and hard lessons, I could get it figured out. But and that's kind of the way it is with fitting your own hearing aids to yourself. I mean, people can do it, but there's certain insights that we have that we can bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in today's day and age with AI and everybody's pocket in the cell phone, information is not anybody's lack, but the skill that it takes to develop over time, like you can't replace skill. You can have information, but skill is something that takes, time to develop. But depending on the complexity of this, what it is you're learning, it could take weeks, could take months, could take years. So In your case, you've been doing hearing aids for coming up on 30 years. I mean, at this point, you would be an industry expert. So it's hard to replace 30 years of experience with an AI chatbot. Like that is not going to go away right now. Like how are you handling this today's marketplace? I mean, over 3 decades, the market, I'm sure, has changed drastically or has looked different. How has your business evolved from 1998 to 2025? What does that evolution look like?
I remember getting into this business. It always frustrated me that there was so much disconnect from one process to another. I mean, the invoicing was done in one system, the testing was done in another, the fitting was done in another, and the marketing was done, everything was really segmented. And that really frustrated me. And it still does to a great extent because there should be a way to kind of get some continuity from the time you meet the client until the time you invoice them without having to enter it into 3 different databases, for example. And so that's something I've been working on. And there are solutions out there. There are places that will actually link those things together. But of course, they want to sink their teeth into a monthly overhead, which can be very costly if it's efficient and effective. And I mean, rightfully so. If they're bringing a solution to the table, it justifies a certain part of the business. But I don't like getting locked into somebody that's going to provide services to me that I am going to be beholden to for the rest of my life. It's kind of baggage if as I move along, and not to mention the costs right now. But if I have to, here's my business and here's my baggage that goes along with it. Please, accept that as a gesture of goodwill. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of hard to pass off to people in many respects because they may have their own way, and I don't want everything to be contingent upon that one piece that's holding it all together.
So your business has changed from those early days where systems were fragmented, and over the course of your career and your business, you've kind of been piecing things together and building a system that fits well together so that the end result is a higher service to your customers. Does that sound right?
Absolutely, because like I say, the care that's needed is it's ongoing, and sometimes just being able to invite the customer back in for a clean and check, for example, of their hearing aids can be a difference of whether or not they're getting value and getting performance out of them compared to just letting them go, ignoring them, that kind of thing. And that's hard to do without being in their face or being obtrusive into their life because people like their privacy and their uh, they don't want to be dumped on and marketed to. And I really try hard not to be that company where it's like, here you go, you got another email, 6 of them a week, or something like that. Because again, those are the types of things that really turn me off whenever I'm working with somebody. If they start doing that to me, it's I don't want to be that person. I don't want to put my clients into that or subjected to that type of what inconsideration, I think, is basically the word I'm looking for.
Awesome. So you over the course of your time, you have strived to give your clients uh, a superior experience by making things easier for them.
That's my goal. And I mean, I'm still working on it. It's still, it's elusive, but I don't like to dump marketing pieces on clients. I don't like, they know where I'm at. I hope they know what I'm there to offer. But at the same time, yeah, we got to do some marketing to stay in front of them. But I just don't need to inundate people with excess that I think people are a little bit tired of. It's just, enough is enough type of thing. And, when I sign up for something and I get 12 emails before noon the next day, it's just, I get a little turned off, and I think my clients would too.
I like it. I like it. Keep the client experience in mind as you're delivering the service. I think that's super good advice for any entrepreneur in any industry, in any field, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could go back to 1998 and tell yourself, your brand new entrepreneur, what would be the one piece of advice that you would want to tell yourself way back then when you first started?
I would have probably suggested becoming the entrepreneur sooner, rather than going to work for people. And the biggest thing is just show up every day and, put one foot in front of the other because, nobody says being an entrepreneur is an easy road. But if you can just keep getting up in the morning, going to work, doing what's in front of you, and keep on striving forward. I think that's really one of the biggest things that I think too many people just want my own boss. I can kind of do what I want to when I want to, and it's like, yeah, that sounds good in theory, but reality is that if you want to be able to make it work, you've really got to put in the effort. I still spend a lot of time reading and putting things together and trying to figure things out and come up with the next best solution and, those kinds of things all the time. I don't know. It kind of becomes me. I don't know that I want to call myself a workaholic, but at the same time, it's like I'm passionate about it, and I really do put one foot in front of the other because I can't just rest on what worked last year or last decade or anything like that. Just keep on striving for better, whether it's education, reading a white paper, whatever it is.
That I like that. That's great advice. Let's transition a little bit and talk about your current business model and who is your ideal customer profile? Like, who do you best serve? Who should come to you?
People that need help, or people that want help, I should say. The need is not always a good client because there are a lot of people out there that really don't understand the significance of how hearing loss affects them. So when people understand that, it's affecting possibly their cognition, their overall health, their independence, their ability to communicate, and their social life and those kinds of things, those people come in there with a little bit of motivation. If people are there begrudgingly, maybe by the force of a family member or something like that, I tell people oftentimes, what, if you're not ready, don't bother. It's not worth it to put a device in a client, even if it results in a sale at the end of the day. I just seen that they didn't get it because frankly, it's not doing anybody any good to have these hearing aids sitting in a drawer or, because they're telling others that, well, I got them, but they don't work, or, and it's like, well, of course they don't work. They're not in your ears. They're not going to work if they're not in your ears. I don't mind people trying over-the-counter devices. In fact, I encourage that. I think that's a great place for people to get their feet wet. But if they don't work for them, I wish they could call them something else besides hearing aids, because if an over-the-counter hearing aid doesn't work for somebody, oftentimes that gets blamed as, they cast a wide net and say hearing aids don't work. And that's probably one of my biggest, maybe a pet peeve, if you will, because that negative experience that they get by buying these $200 devices or whatever they spend on them can oftentimes inhibit themselves or their friends from getting help sooner rather than later. And they wait until they get so desperate, and then they come to the office and they're so desperate, so far removed from being able to hear well, that it can sometimes be a challenge getting them back on track, because you lose the sense of hearing. You're literally, it's a brain thing. It becomes very, very, sometimes very challenging to get the brain back involved. I mean, there's atrophy that goes on, processing, cognitive challenges that can happen. And we often catch people, unfortunately, too far down the road that have waited too long thinking, just no big deal. It's just a little hearing loss. That's probably my non-good client, is the ones that have thought they could tough it out and be the Superman and not need the help that they actually do need, probably 10, 15, 20 years earlier. And so I wish they would try out the over-the-counter solution, try to get the best of it. But if it's something that they won't wear, to not give up and not throw in the towel simply because if that one didn't work, these more expensive ones certainly wouldn't work.
So the people have to be ready to receive the help. How, in your experience, how many in your sales calls and all the different times that you've interacted with people, like what's the percentage of people that are mentally just not ready to receive that kind of assistance?
That's a good question. And I mean, I don't know if it's not ready to receive the help or not understanding the value of how it can change a life. Because I tell people, if you spend $200 and you're not wearing them, you spent too much. If you spend thousands of dollars and you wear them and it's changed your life, it's a bargain at any price. It really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's keeping the brain healthy, keeping those relationships healthy, keeping the spouse, happy wife, happy life type of thing, and staying engaged, staying a part of the game. going to events that you might otherwise miss if you don't hear well because the background noise is so annoying. Being able to get the entertainment of music and television and that, but and being able to express that value to people. I mean, it's really hard to have them understand that with a 5-10 minute conversation. Or whatever time you do spend. And it's like, I'm not there to convince that person, but when the person doesn't realize how their life is degrading so slowly over the years, and I mean decades, and it's just a little bit at a time. So it's really hard for that person to say, what, it's my hearing that's causing my depression or my loneliness or my anxiety. They blame it on the fact that whatever else is going on in their life, but they don't realize that the relationships have suffered and taken a toll. I would say half the people that we talk to maybe understand it, they get it, and then there's another half. I don't know if half is the right number, and whether or not it's the price that scares them off, or if it's well, I can get something for less at another place, or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, it's they got to want to change. But if whenever they do, usually it's all for the better. And people that are willing to try, we get, I would say 95%, satisfaction, give or take. But there's still a few of those that are stubborn. They don't want to be seen in the darn thing or, wear it. Or so they think they can do without it. Like I say, tough it out. And it's unfortunate to not be able to change their mind or to tell them otherwise.
I bet that's super hard to deal with and see people that you can help, but yet they're just not willing to accept it. I bet that's super hard for you.
It is, but it's you kind of got to come to terms with it. I mean, there are people that can't walk and need a cane or a walker, and they know that their knees are bad, but they're not going to get new knees either because of whatever reason. So I can't take it personal because people sometimes don't know what's good for them or don't know what's not, type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess in your process that you have, is it more showing them like a mirror? You're showing up a mirror and like, hey, this is what's really affecting you, and then helping them to make the choice to make that investment in themselves to bring their life back to status. Is that kind of how your sales process works?
Well, we try, but at the same time, it's like, well, I hear enough. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. And like I say, is that really how they feel, or is it that the financial consideration is just too much for them? And I mean, I understand it, and we don't try to make it unaffordable to people. I think it just we're selling devices for 30% less than we were 25 years ago.
Oh,
So I
wow.
mean, they're working better. They're performing so much better. We're not doing the 25 follow-up visits that we had back when I first started. We're doing something that oftentimes it fits and goes, and people are successful with it. And to me, that make it worth 25% more. The reality is because of the follow-ups are not needed. Well, we don't have to charge as much, so things do work.
So with your product that you guys have with your hearing aids, they actually have follow-up consultations to make sure everything's working correctly. Like that's part of the service that you
Oh,
provide.
absolutely. And, that's, I think, maybe a little bit too. It's not like a refrigerator that you take home, plug it in, and leave it sit there for 10 years or 20 years. A hearing aid is, we got the human element, we got the electronics, we got a whole lot of different things going on. We have the physical part themselves, people with the earwax or the hearing aid gets dirty, and some people can clean them, some people need help. How the hearing changes. A year from now, if your hearing gets worse, we set the hearing aid a little bit stronger to make it offset there. So, those types of follow-ups and assurances that you're going to get the best that you can get throughout the years, and be able to have it adapt to your needs is really a big thing. And to getting people involved with helping being able to hear in the background noise a little bit better, maybe making the tinnitus go away, the ringing in their ears with the amplification. Those are things that we work with, trying to make it get more appealing. I think we live in a instant gratification type of world where people, I want it now, and it's like, I can have you hear it all now if you really want to, but guess what, there's a lot of noise in this world too, and people kind of, well, I don't need to hear all that. It's like, well, yeah, guess what, that's a brain thing, that's not a hearing aid thing. That's everybody has to put up with noise, everybody needs to hear well, that kind of thing. So but And that's that long wait that kind of subjects them to that type of an experience.
I love how that, like, you're not selling an appliance, right? You're selling a hardware with service support that kind of helps and grows with them as they age or as things change, that you're there to help them. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I feel like that's probably worth whatever it is you're charging. I feel like that sounds like a super needed uh, industry to be in to help, especially seniors. Now, is most of you see mostly seniors, I imagine, right?
Mostly seniors. Yeah.
Do you have any kind of like a veteran that come back from overseas with any kind of hearing damage? You ever see any of those?
So veterans typically can get their help through the VA, and if they can get into the VA, or if they don't have to go to somebody that's credentialed through the VA, I mean, so it gets to be a little bit of a bottleneck there. And as hearing aid provider with the International Hearing Society, there are bills out there to try to get a hearing aid specialist to be able to take care of the veterans and get reimbursed for it. And I think there's another bill which is actually proposing that we'd allow hearing aid providers to be able to take care of veterans, but currently we're not authorized to do that. We can do private pay, or in many cases, we just, as thank you to the service members, we offer free service to them, and as a courtesy, just because it's unfortunate whenever they get equipment from the VA and unfortunately don't know how to handle them or take care of it. So that was just another thing that we do. My dad was a veteran, and again, it was kind of hey, thanks guys, we appreciate you.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. In your business right now, how do you and your wife balance, like, how does your work life integration, how does that look like today? I imagine that's changed over a long time, but today, like, how do you guys balance being where you are?
I do spend a lot of time working, and even my hobbies are work, because right now I'm working on an AI project to develop some apps for the clients and things. So I'm spending a lot of evenings and weekends diving into that. And I don't know, it's a pretty big project, but hopefully, by the end of the year, I'll have a pretty nice product out. So my wife probably says I spend too much time in front of the computer, but we try to make time for each other, and go out here and there, and try to have a little bit of a life there. But so like I say, to me, I love what I do. I enjoy it. So it's not really a job. It's more, in many respects, a hobby. I can't do it during the day, so it has to be a hobby. But hopefully it will, have some value whenever I get finished with it.
What can you share anything about it? It sounds like you're pretty passionate about this. Is there anything you can share publicly yet, or not yet?
Well, I'm actually learning how to code a little bit. Learning, kind of letting AI do some of it for me, or a lot of it for me. But I'm trying to put together this all-in-one system that I was talking about earlier. To be able to kind of take them from A to Z in one path without having to do multiple entries and things like that. And just kind of do soft touches to keep people involved with their hearing health and education driven. So the AI is we're trying to create a CRM that would allow me complete autonomy from these other companies that would be able to, hopefully add a little value to the client experience there.
That's awesome. What made you want to, what at your level and stage of life and business, like what made you want to start and build this whole AI, custom AI bot?
It's interesting. I mean, AI is kind of one of them, new buzzwords that it's kind of like, oh boy, this AI is going to change everything. So it's like, okay, well, how's it going to help me? So I literally typed into AI. It's like, how can you help me? So it's kind of I think a lot of times people use it for little search, learn a little bit, different things like that. But once I started to engage with it a little bit, it's like, well, what if I did this? Could you do that? And if you did this, could I do that? And really started to discover, kind of the potential of what can happen. And it started with just a couple little apps that I was, I could do that. Well, that part works. Well, if I could do that, I can keep moving. So my ambitions kind of grew with it as I started playing around with it. That's kind of where I'm kind of in going, did I get it over my head or not? I don't know. But it's, I think it's kind of interesting to explore what's out there, what's available, because it gets too easy to go just to knock off and say, you know what, I'm done for the day. I'm not going to worry about anything else. But if I can start to explore what's on the horizon, how can I be, the first one there instead of, and, show others compared to being the last one to arrive going, darn it, I wished I'd have known this sooner, So that's really what I've been trying to do is to discover how it can maybe help change our industry, how it can change my business and that to be able to, leverage it. If the technology is there, it's absolutely worth looking into.
I think that that is awesome to hear somebody as accomplished as you say that there's more to be done, right? There's more work here to be done. I feel like that speaks more to your character than anything else, that you're not satisfied with status quo, that you still are adapting, you still are changing, you're still growing with the technology. And that's super powerful. And I could see that. And like, that's a testament to your fortitude and to your character that you can still, at your level, be able to do this and embrace the change rather than a lot of people would be like, nah, I think I'm good. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and ride off into the sunset. You're like, nah, you're still on the cutting edge. Like, you're still trying to be on the cutting edge. So I feel like I see like that is totally awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Wrapping this up and kind of landing this plane a little bit here, what do you see is your future with your company? What to you is the pathway? Do you see yourself becoming that mentor and moving into that mentor role for somebody to raise somebody up? Have you given thought to what your next 5 years looks like at your company?
I would love to mentor one, two, three people. I mean, I think the hearing industry is such a unique little niche. And, I've been blessed and grateful that I found it because of what I can do, how I can change people and change people's lives and that. And I wish there'd be a little more awareness in the community, in the state, in the world. I mean, about the significance of a hearing loss and, like I say, it's such a rewarding career. I think people get a little bit hung up on the fact that, oh, that's grandpa, that's, that's old people thing, or that's, and oftentimes they don't find the glamour maybe in it or the excitement. It's not the coolest tech gadget that, they'd rather work with an earbud that does 1/10 the amount and go, oh, this is great compared to a hearing aid, just not knowing the potential that's inside of them. I guess what I'm saying is that I wish there was more people in the industry, more people with the passion that I have for it, because I know a lot of people that get into it, and it's like in this career, and they really enjoy what they've done, what they're doing, and that, and knowing that it doesn't have to be about the widget and the device. It's more about where do you want this to take you? What do you want to do with this? It's hearing loss, unfortunately, is not going to go away.
Yeah.
What we're going to do with it, how we're going to handle it, and how we're going to deal with all the people that have problems is it's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of collaboration. There's more opportunity in this industry than anybody would ever imagine. And like I say, that's where you got to show up. You got to understand. You got to put yourself out there a little bit and be able to look at find the challenges and the opportunities that we can go with. But back to your question, yeah, I'd love to mentor a person that would be interested in taking it. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that it's not going to fall in their lap. They do have to kind of dig their heels in and find that passion and be able to move forward with it, because it just doesn't, everything that I think is worth doing takes a little bit of effort. You got to absolutely put yourself out there.
Absolutely. So you're looking to the future and you're looking to see if there's somebody that would step up to the plate like you did, and you'd be open to those conversations, but you just haven't found it yet.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. No, that's awesome. No, I think I would love to see more small businesses stay small and not sell out to private equity firms or large firms, and keep community. Like you're saying, like keeping community. Doug next door is going to take care of you. It's not some large corporation. You're going to get put into a queue, right? Or to a system, and you're going to be a number. You're going to have that relationship, and you'll be able to call Doug, or you're going to be able to call Alex, or you're going to call whoever, because you're going to know that they're your neighbor first and foremost. So I absolutely am a proponent for that, 100%. And one last question before we wrap up: what is one piece of entrepreneurial wisdom that you want to leave to the next generation?
I think I've said it before, and I must say it again. Just show up, not just physically, but bring your mind to it, bring your heart to it. Make something worth doing, because I think that's where you're going to get the passion. If you got to bring your heart to it and dive in, because I think that's what makes the world go around. That's what makes me want to wake up in the morning, because otherwise, what's the use? I have a passion for it, and I love it. I love what I do.
Awesome. Show up, give it your best, give it your all.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great way to end this segment. And thank you, Doug, for being here. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I hope you've got some great nuggets of wisdom out of this. Doug's a fantastic person. We are going to leave all of his links to his business in our description below. Please check him out. And thank you again. We'll see you guys next time.